All right, everyone, welcome back for another video. And today I'm going to talk about this article written by Rational Chimp. Go ahead and follow him at Rational Chimp _. And so anyway, he wrote this article talking about the true value of the Elastos coin, kind of just hitting on all the main points of what will drive the token value over time for ELA. So that being said, I did another video on one of his articles a few weeks back. I'll go ahead and put that in the upper right hand corner for you. We've been kind of collaborating at this point. He's been writing the articles and I've been putting a video out there on YouTube about it. So anyway, let's get started. The true value of Elastos coin, ELA. First and foremost, ELA is the base currency that governs the entirety of the Elastos ecosystem. ELA uses a unique and hybrid proof of work and a delegated proof of stake consensus mechanism where Bitcoin miners generate blocks and Elastos supernodes sign them, working together to secure the ELA blockchain. ELA currently has over 60% of Bitcoin's hash rate with an all-time high of about 80%, not only making it more secure and expensive to attack than Ethereum, but also unable to be forked. Elastos is the first project which successfully addresses the blockchain trilemma issue of security, decentralization, and scalability. Every sidechain on Elastos is tied to the main chain ELA in some way. For example, if a sidechain decides to merge mine on top of ELA, which is then merge mine on top of BTC, this means that the transaction fees for all the dApps built utilizing these sidechains will have to be paid in ELA. The same thing applies to the Ethereum or Neo sidechains. You need the main chain to transfer tokens from sidechain to sidechain or sidechain to another blockchain altogether. For example, you have the Uniswap forks or clones on the Ethereum sidechain, and all the gas fees will require ELA for those, Uniswap or shadow tokens, anything like that, which I'm about to get into, right? Ultimately, though, the more dApps and the more sidechains that get built on top of the Elastos and the more traffic there is on the Elastos ecosystem, the more the network effect grows for ELA. dApps will be paying an ELA for their services they'll be using, like domain name registration, search engines, page rankings, acquisition of UUIDs for digital assets, and they'll all be using ELA. ELA will be the main currency that will be used to reward developers for creating dApps on the Elastos ecosystem. ELA on the main chain is also used for peer-to-peer payments from one person to another. ELA is used to pay for any transaction fees that incur during the peer-to-peer payments as well. ELA is used to register for a supernode that takes part in the delegated proof of stake consensus of the Elastos blockchain. All right, some really important things to note here. This section 9. Every successful product on Ethereum, Polkadot, Solana, EOS, Tron, or others could port over or be recreated on Elastos for more security, decentralization, and scalability utilizing ELA. Elastos provides a platform for any kind of dApps to be built that can run directly on the device instead of running on top of the blockchain itself like most dApps today. So that's the problem with Ethereum and so on, is everything runs on the blockchain. So if you can port it over to Elastos, the dApps can run directly on the device, which frees up space and not as much congestion on the blockchain. Also, the Ethereum sidechain has 133,000 times more hash power than that of the Ethereum blockchain and can scale without being centralized. Let me reiterate that. So the Ethereum sidechain on Elastos has 133,000 times more hash power than that of the Ethereum blockchain. Okay. So why isn't everyone using Elastos right now, right? That's what comes to mind for me. People need to know about this. It it doesn't hurt the project at all to port onto Elastos. It just improves it. Elastos makes everything better. Um, Also, Elastos is not a world computer like ETH, EOS, or Polkadot, but rather a network of distributed world computers. As part of the development efforts, around 5 million of ELA were exclusively reserved for the growth of the Elastos ecosystem development, and anyone can contribute to the ever-growing ecosystem of Elastos. Content creators, users, developers, testers, leaders, anything of the sort, you can go over to the cyberrepublic.org and find out how you can contribute and get paid or rewarded for doing so. All right, so kind of trying to paint the picture for what Elastos is doing. Elastos is building a smart web. A simple example of this is a micro website without an IP address that will be running completely peer-to-peer. These micro websites need to have domain names, storage service, and any other services websites need. All of these services will have to be paid for with ELA. So if you're going to use Elastos, you're going to need the ELA token or coin. Elastos provides a platform for any kind of dApps to be built that can run directly on the device instead of running on top of the blockchain itself like most dApps today. This creates an incentive to port existing virtual machines like Neo, Ethereum, etc. from other blockchains to be run on top of Elastos, thereby leading to the true interoperability between all the different kinds of blockchains. So that's basically like what I just said. At this point, there's really no reason not to port over to the Elastos, Ethereum, or Neo sidechains, and they're going to continue building more, and EOS, Tron as well, I believe, Polkadot potentially, and so on. But anyway, so if you port over to the Ethereum sidechain, for instance, you just get faster and more secure simultaneously. There's no reason not to be honest. All right. ELA is used for governance. Council members, voting elections, and impeachments. Also used for reward when you vote for the supernode validators. So if you're not already staking your ELA, you can do it in the Elastos wallet app, straight on your phone. You can also use the Elephant app as well. So check that out. If you have some Elastos, you definitely need to get it staked away. There's no reason not to. So also, you'll need to pay with ELA for securing these digital assets, which will utilize the digital assets sidechain. ELA powers all the services offered by Elastos infrastructure. You could use BTC for these, but the very code that makes these sidechains possible is directly derived from the main chain and is connected to the main chain closely. So all these sidechains are protected by the security of the main chain as well. So a new currency is needed to power all of this, because that's the only way to ensure that all the services that are offered by Elastos infrastructure work independently of any other currency. We cannot rely to fund the project on BTC or ETH or whatever else. A new currency is needed to govern and manage and support all these services. That's the true value of ELA. All right. And then goes on to speculate a little on the future price possibilities. So with all the utilities of the ecosystem, ELA would be like the fuel of its new internet. Imagine if you could buy the internet and the next one, how much it's currently worth. According to the Cisco CEO, the internet is worth about $19 trillion. All right, and also a quote here, the Internet of Everything will have 5 to 10 times the impact on society as the internet itself. So, I mean, you could definitely see how, if Elastos is successful, basically the goal it's trying to accomplish, it would be a multi-trillion-dollar project, and no doubt in my mind. It just comes down to actually getting that adoption, because if it is adopted on a global scale as the new internet, essentially, that is like massive in size and potential, right? So it's like it's a all or nothing in my mind, kind of like multiple $1 trillion project, or it just doesn't get used. That's how I see Elastos playing out. So hypothetically, at $19 trillion in valuation, if the token itself were the value of the Internet of Everything, there's only 18 million in circulation, so that would put Elastos at 1 million a piece if it were ever able to capture that. So by the time it were ever that big, I would say that's more so like 10, 20 years down the road. And in that case, there would be a little more in circulation. Even then, the potential is massive for the token. So, all right, moving on. Most people are saying that Bitcoin is digital gold and a store of value. And one day, maybe people will say that Bitcoin is also securing the new internet, the Elastos internet, which will become the internet of value, things, trust. Okay, so kind of like what I said. So I also think that something like this, if not Elastos, something else needs to be successful in order for Bitcoin to survive. I think that in its current form, just as a store of value argument, I don't see that lasting. I think Bitcoin needs to be more. And as I've always told people, the intrinsic value of Bitcoin is in its hash rate. People always ask me, well, what's the value? What is Bitcoin providing? Well, honestly, the only thing it provides is a massively secure network, right? Immutable ledger with over 10 years of history at this point of always remaining up and highly secure. So if we can take that, because right now it is expensive to mine. It takes a lot of electricity to mine Bitcoin. So the consumption has to be used for something. For me, it makes sense that it would be used to secure the new internet. I think that that's a perfect use case for something of the sort. And the only project doing that I see is Elastos. And Elastos isn't competing with anyone. Elastos takes the benefits of the high hash rate of Bitcoin and connects it to other virtual machines like Ethereum and Neo and so on. So that's why I've always said that, I think eventually if there's going to be proof of work, there can only be one. Bitcoin will be the only proof of work crypto to succeed. And I think it's going to have to be the center of everything in order for that to happen. So what better use than being the security layer for all the other blockchains to merge mine with? I think it's genius. It makes perfect sense. All right. Moving on. That actually about wraps up the article there. Just goes on to talk a little bit more about the potential valuation, Elastos being worth 1 million per coin if you captured a $19 trillion value. Obviously, this is all just speculation. You have to keep going, have to keep building. But I definitely see Elastos as like the chain link to Bitcoin. It takes all the other virtual machines and connects them to the security of Bitcoin. I think that's a perfect use case. So I don't know why this project isn't blowing up in valuation. Other than that, we need to get it on more exchanges. But anyway, a couple other things to talk about. So this shadow tokens just went live for Elastos as well. And if you want to watch the tutorial, you can go to this YouTube channel, Michael and Trin. I don't know how to say the other names. Sorry about that. But this guy, Michael, he's the Elastos Houston supernode, I believe. And he does a great explanation video on how Shadow Tokens works. But let me read it to you. Shadow Tokens is a cross-chain bridge between Elastos and Ethereum, enabling users to transfer digital asset ownership information, ETH, ELA, and any ERC20, ERC677, or 827 tokens from one chain to the other quickly and reliably. The objective of this bridge is to 1. Provide another scaling option for Ethereum via Elastos Ethereum virtual machine compatible smart contract sidechain. with negligible fees, secured by over 50% of Bitcoin's hash power plus DPoS. Also, number 2, enable Elastos to take full advantage of the tokens native to Ethereum, such as stablecoins for use in DeFi apps. Okay. Shadow Tokens plans to develop more bridges in the future to provide interoperability for isolated blockchains. The smart contracts for this application use the multi-token extension for the arbitrary message bridge, which has been audited and used for a variety of existing bridges, XDAI and POA. So go ahead and check out this video. He does a great, little tutorial just showing how it works, essentially. And also, you can come over here to Uniswap page and you'll see that the ETH ELA pair is now listed on Uniswap as well. Obviously, not much liquidity there, but it's there. So we got Elastos on Uniswap, so that's pretty awesome as well. A lot of things developing for Elastos. I really see the vision coming together collectively. I really like the community members of Elastos in general. They just seem to continue to just build and build and build. They're actually building a product. They're adding value to the ecosystem. So while that might not be reflected in the token price right now, there's no doubt in my mind it will eventually down the road. So, all right, I hope that was an interesting one for you again today. As always, please like and subscribe, share with your friends and family, and stay tuned for the next one. Thanks.
What is a cashless society? What does it actually mean in a literal or high-level sense?
Money will become like these, relics of a different age, and will only be found in places like this. In other words, hard cash will disappear. It will become electronic, transferred by things like these.
Then Tracy is in Beijing to show us what a nearly cashless society actually looks like. Then, good morning.
Mobile payment transactions in China reached a cumulative total of 277.4 trillion RMB in 2018, ranking #1 in the world, according to the recently released statistical report on internet development in China. As of June 2019, online payment users in the country reached 633 million. The cashless society is now approaching.
When's the last time you paid with cash? Well, chances are cash has taken a backseat to the plastic in your wallet and smartphone pay apps.
Denver 7's Ryan Luby explains the digital pay revolution and why not everyone is on board.
The cashless society, the cashless society.
The cashless society.
The cashless society is now approaching.
The cashless society.